afternoon. Thanks for tuning in this Friday, March 18th. I'm Grace Powers.
And I'm Ivy Fischl.
And this is the Appalachian Weekly News. We begin today with a COVID update. Fortunately, case counts are very low this week, with 4 active cases among students and no active cases among employees. However, there's been mixed feelings about the mask mandate being lifted at the university. Sophomore Colin Tilley created a petition encouraging the UNC system not to remove the mask mandates. His petition has received over 650 signatures so far. We went to campus to find out more about what students think of the mask mandate being lifted.
I think it's about time. I was kind of sick of wearing masks, and I think a lot of people were, but I don't know. If you still feel the need to wear one, that's totally fine, but I'm kind of glad it's not forced anymore.
I think it was good that we were given an option, and that if you still want to and you don't feel comfortable, you have the power to make your own decision.
I think it's a good thing, especially with I think everybody who's needed to get a vaccine has gotten one, or if they've decided they're not going to get one, they're not going to. So it's nice being able to see everybody's faces and actually hear your professors talk. So I think it's good that it got lifted, but I can see where people would still be a little hesitant about it. I know they've still got it on the buses, which is kind of weird because you carry around a mask for just the bus. But
I think that the mask mandate is kind of a iffy situation on campus, especially when I live in the dorm. But I think it's good for people's morale, and I think that everybody's pretty happy about having it lifted.
This coming fall, App State Dining plans to transition to a swipe-based meal policy. With the new policy, students can choose from all-access plans or Block 50 plans. The all-access plans range from $1,382 per semester to $2,680 per semester in price and allow students between 14 and an unlimited number of visits to the dining locations weekly. The Block 50 plans will range from $638 per semester to $1,575 per semester and allow between 50 to 150 visits per semester. First-year students will be required to purchase one of the all-access plans. The swipe plan policy will apply to River Street Cafe and Row S Dining Hall and Park Place at the Pond and Trivet Dining Hall. There will be no time limit between swipes, and they reload each week but do not roll over to the next semester. In other dining locations such as Sanford Commons, coffee shops, convenience markets, food trucks, and vending machines, students will use new dining dollars that remain on a declining system and can be refilled at any time. Vice Chancellor of Campus Services John Ekman says that dining costs will be more accurately reflected in the estimated cost of attendance. Campus dining locations will undergo renovations over the summer to house new equipment that will assist in no-contact entrances as well as customer self-service lines. Some locations will be extending their hours, and staffing is also expected to increase in the 2022-2023 academic year.
Spring is well on its way, which means grad season is almost upon us. If you're walking this May, you may be happy to learn that you don't have to shell out a ton of cash for your cap and gown. App State's bookstore offers one regalia option, a black gown with App's logo and yellow stitching for $75. But student Hannah Levin discovered from a bookstore employee that students are permitted to wear any black cap and gown at their commencement ceremony.
$70 is a lot of money for most college kids, and to have already spent money on a gown and a cap was just like kind of a headache. So I went ahead and reached out to, I called the people at the bookstore and asked, hey, I have some questions about gowns and regalia. Do I need to return the stuff that I already bought, and do I have to buy this new gown? And they said, well, you're welcome to return the stuff that you did buy. You do not have to.
Students can save themselves some money by purchasing a generic black cap and gown and complete their regalia with an App State tassel, which retails for $8.59. If you have any questions about regalia, contact the campus bookstore.
2 weeks ago, we brought you news of a murder trial here in Boone.
Our correspondent Zanara Marine Lopez is live at the Watauga County Courthouse. Zanara, what can you tell us?
Thank you, Grace and Ivy. Tristan Borlas was found guilty for killing both of his parents in their Deep Gap home. This week, I spoke to someone who went to high school with Tristan, got his reaction, and I've got more on the verdict right now. On April 10, 2019, Watauga County Sheriff's Office responded to a 911 call related to the disappearance of 3 family members at around 10 p.m. in Deep Gap. That's when Jeffrey and Tanya Borlas, the parents of a Watauga high school teen, were found dead outside of their home with puncture wounds. I spoke to Aiden Lorham, who went to school with Tristan and shared a gym class together before the murder. Aiden said all of his classmates were shocked when they heard the news.
Yeah, people were just like pretty shocked. Like he like seemed like a really chill dude, honestly. Like I'm pretty sure they announced it like maybe once and just said like if you need to talk to your teachers you can, and like some teachers who are like who knew their friends, like I feel like definitely like would come up and talk to them.
Tristan was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He leaves behind 8 siblings, and the family really is just trying to pick up the pieces and move on and go on with the next chapter of their life. For the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Zanira Marin Lopez. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Zanira. A forum series is taking place here in Watauga County to discuss growing concerns around housing. The forums will take place in 4 sessions that are hosted by local agencies and diverse members of the community. They will discuss housing safety, accessibility, and affordability with the goal of giving community members a platform to share their personal housing experiences. The forums also review local housing data and involves the community in solutions to review fair housing efforts more inclusive. 3 forums are left to take place, and they will be held on March 28th, April 11th, and April 25th at 5:30 p.m. at the Watauga Recreation Center. Registration is required for both in-person and virtual attendance of the forums. If you register for in-person attendance, you will receive a box dinner from Farm Cafe. A KN95 mask will be required and provided for in-person attendees. For more information about the 2022 Watauga Housing Forum, visit wataugahhousingforum.org.
Boone welcomes its first ever female town manager as Amy Davis was named interim town manager at their March 9th meeting. This change comes as John Ward, the previous town manager, announced he's leaving his position effective April 1st to take a job as the first ever county manager of Walton County, Georgia. Prior to Amy Davis's appointment to the role, she was serving as the finance director for the town of Boone, and she's been in that role since 2004 and has been working for the town for 22 years. She says, quote, "My plan for the upcoming months is to work closely with department directors in order to facilitate as smooth of a transition as possible. In the short term, developing the fiscal year budget for 2022 to 2023 will be a priority," end quote. The transition of town manager has already begun to take place, but Ward will work with the town until April 1st to make sure it's a seamless change into the role.
On Saturday, March 5th, a fire struck Puerto Nuevo, one of the High Country's landmarks and most popular restaurants. Located on Highway 194 in Banner Elk, the restaurant only suffered smoke damage from the fire. Management was notified by a customer who saw smoke coming from the building when pulling into the parking lot. A phone call was then made to Avery County Emergency 911 Center. Banner Elk, Linville, and Beach Mountain Fire Department personnel were the first dispatched to the fire.
Obviously, right off the bat, we knew that we were up for a challenge, and a personal sinking in your heart when you know it's a favorite place of yours, and we're certainly in the business of protecting life and property, and when it's close to your community, there's that sense of urgency.
The fire was ruled to be accidental, and its origin was in the upper portion of the building's rotunda. The restaurant was preparing to open at the time the fire was recognized, and everyone in the building was able to safely exit the facility unharmed. The restaurant remains temporarily closed, and the date to reopen has not yet been announced.
North Carolina will receive $750 million to fight the opioid crisis in our state. Attorney General Josh Stein revealed the approval of a $26 billion agreement with major pharmaceutical distributors Cardinal, McKesson, AmerisourceBergen, and Johnson & Johnson to pay state and local governments. Attorney General Stein said, quote, "It's been my genuine honor on their behalf to lead these negotiations to hold accountable the companies that helped create and fuel this crisis," end quote. This agreement is the second largest state attorney general settlement in history, meant to hold these pharmaceutical companies accountable for the over 28,000 opioid-related deaths in our state. Last year, North Carolina experienced 5 opioid overdose deaths each day. This influx of funds is expected to hit in April. With these funds, North Carolina can expect to see more widely available treatment and prevention programs for those struggling with opioid addiction.
Boone is going electric. On their Instagram page, the town recently announced that they have installed a brand new Level 2 electric car charging station. These chargers are located in front of the downtown Boone post office. With its dual charging capabilities, 2 cars can charge at the same time. And the best part is, it's free to charge your car. All you have to do is pay for parking.
Coming up on the Appalachian Weekly News, App State Wrestling competes at the NCAA Championships. Thanks for tuning back in to the Appalachian Weekly News. Well, Ivy, March Madness is upon us. Have you filled out a bracket?
I have not. Steven, can you tell me where App State falls in March Madness?
So while March Madness is now in full swing for most of the country, App State's run has officially come to an end. Alex Urquiza was at the game and has more on the conclusion of this men's basketball season.
I'm here outside the Holmes Convocation Center, where in a couple of minutes, Appalachian State men's basketball program is set to go head-to-head against USC Upstate in what could be their final basketball game of the season. On Tuesday night, Appalachian State men's basketball team went against USC Upstate in the first round of the College Basketball Classic. This was the first time since 2010 that the Mountaineers hosted a postseason game. The Mountaineers and Spartans were neck to neck in the first 10 minutes, being tied at 60 points apiece. However, the Spartans ended the first half with a 39-30 point lead after they forced the Mountaineers to 12 turnovers, scoring 17 points off those turnovers. With the Spartans maintaining their lead into the second half, this forced App State head coach Dustin Kearns into a tactical decision to switch into a defensive zone. This decision allowed the Mountaineers to fight fire with fire, forcing the Spartans into 2 turnovers, capitalizing on their mistakes. Halfway throughout the second half, the Mountaineers were able to force a comeback, with sophomore forward C.J. Huntley hitting a 3-pointer to tie the game. In the final 9 minutes of the game, both teams kept switching leads, with neither of the two sides being able to separate themselves from one another. However, this was a turning point in the game. With a minute and 19 seconds left on the clock, junior forward Donovan Gregory fouled a 3-point shooter who made all 3 of his free throws. The Spartans were able to make a 3-pointer after this, putting the game to end, with the Mountaineers losing 80-74, putting an end to their season.
This group has made losses hurt, and that hasn't been the case around here. And so I think that that's a good thing. And so I think the narrative's changed, and I think this group changed the narrative. It's not, ooh, App State won. It's, ooh, they lost. And I think that that's a good thing, and they're to be commended for that.
Although the ending of the season was very disappointing, there are still some highs to look over that. This was the first time in program history that they qualified for a postseason tournament 2 seasons in a row. And the 3rd consecutive season was a positive win rate. For the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Alex Urquiza.
And as Coach Kearns mentioned in his press conference, the team will look very different next season, with 3 starters graduating along with 2 other role players. App State baseball, it's rivalry week. The Mountaineers will look to get back on track against Georgia Southern this weekend. Tyler Tuthill will be the Friday starter for App State and will try to help secure a series lead heading into the weekend. The Mountaineers are cold right now, going 1-4 in their last 5 and 6-9 on the season. Meanwhile, Georgia Southern is coming in red hot, 9-1 in their last 10 and 11-6 on the season. Some keys to this series for the Mountaineers are getting on the board early and eliminating the big inning defensively, something they have massively struggled with so far this season. First pitch is at 5 p.m., and you can watch that on ESPN+. On the other side of the diamond, softball will be traveling down to San Marcos tomorrow to face Texas State. This will be the first game softball is playing in a week due to Wednesday's game getting canceled. Sophomore Kate Houston has been tearing it up so far this season, leading the Sun Belt in hits and a .378 average on the season, good for 8th in the conference. This will prove to be a very interesting series as both teams play similar styles and are tight statistically down the board. First pitch for that game will be at 2 p.m. From Pioneers to Mountaineers, 2 students will be joining App State's football team. Our correspondent Shannon Pendleton has the story.
Can you imagine going from this to this? Well, this is the reality for 2 high school football players. After playing football throughout their high school career, these 2 men will now spend their next 4 years being a Mountaineer football player.
Committing to a school can be a difficult decision, but for Carter Everett, he says,
it was my first choice. It was my only choice. So it was definitely where I wanted to be and nowhere else.
Sports is a place where you can learn a lot on and off the field. Orlando Leon talks about what he has learned over the years from playing football.
I definitely learned how to be a better person off the field. You know, not everything about football is not always just on the field, and you know how good you are as a player. It definitely matters what you do outside football and how you could become a better person. So I feel like definitely coaches and definitely teammates along the way. You know, we have a close group of friends and close group of coaches. So I definitely think that they helped me improve my life overall.
Going on to a new team can be a big adjustment, but for these men, that is not the case. Everett talks about how he feels getting to join this new team with an old friend.
I think it's awesome because I've shared the past 4 years back here with Orlando on this field, and then I get to share 4 years with him at App. So I think having a sense of unity and team going into this new team that I'll be on is great to have.
Being able to play football for a D1 school is a dream for many young athletes. Leon has some advice on how to reach this goal.
Just work every day. You know, you got to work when people aren't watching you. You gotta put in lots of hours in the weight room, you know, on the field, you know, going to camps and stuff. It's just, you know, whenever it's off season, you can't just not do anything. And
You can watch these two kids play football in the Kid Brewer Stadium next season. For the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Shannon Pendleton.
App State Wrestling has arrived in Detroit for the NCAA Wrestling Championship. 5 Mountaineers will be participating in our all-seeded top 25 in their weight class. Caleb Smith, Jonathan Milner, and Thomas Fitz all won their first match to advance to the second round. Wolf Ramonso is currently 1-1 and moving his way through the consolation bracket, and Cody Russell has not yet made his first appearance. The tournament will continue into the weekend and end on Sunday afternoon. Women's tennis is currently facing off against University of Texas Arlington, coming off of a Wednesday win against Lees McRae. App State won all 7 matches against the Bobcats, giving them a ton of momentum heading into today's matches. Erica Doddridge and Helena Jansen will lead the way for the team and try and help defend the home court. Arlington is currently sitting at an impressive 11-1 record on the season and the second best record in the conference. Men's golf traveled down to Myrtle Beach this week to host the Bash at the Beach. The Mountaineers shot 22 under, good for second place. Conference rival Troy shot 24 under to take home the title. Severe Haroldson led the way for App State, coming in second individually for the tournament and shooting the lowest round at a 63. This score also set a new App State record for the lowest score in a tournament round in school history. The golf team will be back in action on March 27th at the Seahawk Intercollegiate in Wilmington. And guys, it's going to be really nice this week, so if you have some time, go check out some App State baseball.
Thanks so much, Stephen. I will be trying to get to that game. And as many Watauga County residents have experienced, one of the greatest effects of COVID has been a struggle with employment.
Our correspondent Dylan Henson is going to tell us about how businesses are coming back in Boone.
Thanks, Grace and Ivy. Here on King Street, as you can tell, that many of the businesses have been without employees for a while. But just in the past couple of weeks, a lot of these businesses have seen an influx of applicants. This week, I took a look at the labor situation here in Boone. Across the high country, many residents of Watauga County are more active in the workforce than they have been in the last couple of years. In fact, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that in February, payroll employment rose by 678,000. The Bureau also reported that the unemployment rate edged to 3.8%, resulting in job growth, with many gains to the hospitality, professional, healthcare, and construction industries. To take a closer look at this situation, I spoke with Boone Area Chamber of Commerce President David Jackson.
You can trace it back to some of the government subsidy programs that were helping people with enhanced unemployment coming to an end at one point in time. A lot of folks that got stimulus money that were really kind of living off of that for a while have seen those funds begin to run out. I think you've also seen some people that have felt safer in returning to frontline service work that have been seeking those opportunities again. Maybe they had those jobs prior to COVID and have been looking for a way to get back into the restaurant scene or the bartending scene or what have you, and they just simply feel safer because more people have been vaccinated. So
local businesses here on King Street see thousands of visitors every month, and now couldn't be a better time to apply for a job. David also tells us about an online tool that the Chamber of Commerce has for finding jobs.
So the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce has a work center on our website where we have job postings and encourage not only employees to seek those out, they are a wide variety from full-time jobs to part-time jobs, things for students, things for your average Boone local, but also for employers to be able to get that information out there too. That job center is about as active as it's ever been.
With many career opportunities at their disposal, Boone is getting back to work. For job resources, you could visit the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce's website at www.boonechamber.com. And reporting for the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Dylan Henson.
Thanks so much, Dylan. That's our report this week. I'm Grace Powers.
And I'm Ivy Fischl.
For all of us at the Appalachian Weekly News, thank you for watching.
We'll see you next time.